What's going on, good people? What's going on, back? It's me, Mr. Glasses, back at it again with the truth, period. Fuck all that bullshit. It is what it is. Here we go. I want y'all to peep out what's happening.
The most important thing is what has the FBI done to investigate the validity of the claim? Because I explained to Director Ray, this is consistent with a pattern that we found with Joe Biden when he was vice president, leaving a country after presenting a foreign aid check. If we didn't have this document in my hand by Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, then the House Oversight Committee will vote to hold him in contempt of Congress.
As House Oversight Chair James Comer getting one step closer to holding FBI Director Christopher
And what that mean?
contempt.
That don't mean shit.
Stiff-arming Congress.
That don't mean
weeks,
shit.
Chairman Comer has been asking Wray, including with a subpoena, for an FBI form that Republicans say includes a bribery allegation against then Vice President Joe Biden. Wray told Comer he can see that document, but he has to go to the FBI headquarters to look at it in person. Comer said nope. He wants that document delivered to Capitol Hill with zero redaction. A White House spokesperson saying it this way. This silly charade by Chairman Comer is yet another reminder that his so-called investigations are political stunts. Former House Intelligence Chairman Devin Nunes is urging his former colleagues, don't let the FBI off the hook.
Me, as just an American out here now, not elected to the Congress anymore, there is no way in holy hell that Wray should be able to get away with what he got away with in 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and don't even get started in what Durham uncovered, where essentially nobody was prosecuted at the DOJ and FBI. They are hopelessly corrupt, if I could put it lightly.
Hopefully corrupted. I already told you that word hope is some bullshit to go along with the other four words. Make believe, understand, and faith.
Congress can subpoena. Doesn't the FBI have to capitulate?
Well, they should, Harris, in any kind of working relationship, institution to institution. The FBI should have to respond to this subpoena. But we've seen, in past situations where, frankly, the folks who are over there at the Department of Justice and at the FBI have been very reluctant to hand things over, even under congressional subpoena. Just to give you one prior example, you may remember that Eric Holder was found in contempt of Congress by the whole Congress, 255 people, including 17 Democrats, voted to hold him in contempt when he refused to hand over information about the fast and furious gun running program in Mexico that obviously created so much consternation. That was really something that was, a long time coming in terms of the fact that he had prevented the Congress from gaining access to documents that they absolutely had the right to see. This same thing is happening now with Christopher Wray. He's essentially saying that they cannot access something that is unclassified, that he can't hand it out to the full committee, that if they are going to see it, they're only going to see a redacted version of it, which will probably just be essentially one page covered with lines of black, because you know that the FBI over-redacts all of these things. And frankly, it's a sign of how much disrespect they have for our nation's elected representatives, that they would be engaged in this type of completely inappropriate behavior. And I hope that they do hold him in contempt for this, because it's clear that he's treating Congress with disrespect in a way that is, unfortunate, but what we've come to expect from the FBI.
Well, and that's what I was going to point to, because this is like a game of fetch. Like the FBI says, you want it, then come to my house. Yeah, come over here, crawl and get it. I mean, that is the ultimate of disrespect.
They don't even have the classification excuse in this case, Harris, which is, typically what they turn to. They don't have that. This is a document that is unclassified. Chairman Grassley and Chairman Comer are obviously, completely justified to be as furious as they are.
White House National Security Council spokesman John Kirby was left speechless before blowing off a reporter's question showing a majority of Americans say they believe Biden engaged in illegal influence peddling.
He's corrupted.
What do you say to the majority of Americans who believe that the president is himself corrupt?
Fucked him up.
The president has spoken to this.
Fucked him up. Right there.
The president has spoken to this.
Fucked him up right there.
And there's nothing to these claims.
Yeah, nothing to him, huh?
The president has spoken to
Nothing to him, huh?
accused of being corrupt.
Nothing to him, huh?
I'm sorry, John Kirby. A lot of people have a lot of respect for John Kirby. You know, he's someone who's viewed as being taken seriously, unlike some of the other people on the president's press team, and that's one of the reasons that he's in this role. That is a ludicrous answer. The president has not spoken to these
Nope.
issues.
Sure they haven't.
Certainly without any specificity. He simply denied.
That's a straight up fucking lie. Nah, would someone be held accountable for that big fucking lie right there?
And that's one of the reasons why I think the poll data does show that, you know, a majority of Americans feel this way, which something which may come as a surprise to people at the White House who seem to pretend like none of this matters. But over time, when you see the president being the opposite of transparent, the opposite of answering any kind of questions, then you eventually come to the conclusion maybe there's something there, and certainly there's an abundance of evidence that would suggest that these are questions that we need the answers to in order to have confidence.
It doesn't stop you from asking the questions. It just makes you want to keep asking the questions, just to see what's underneath door, you know, behind door number 2. More than a month now since the president announced his re-election bid in highly produced video. Remember that? Well, he hasn't held any significant 2024 events since then. And yesterday, the president even laughed when asked, here we go again, asking questions. Why are we doing it? Well, we did it again. We asked a question about that.
Mr. President, how's the re-election campaign going? Because we haven't seen you on the campaign trail yet. We haven't. Not an official campaign rally.
No information out of the press secretary as well. You look all shocked about that, Ben. And there's pretty much a standard default.
I'm a little worried, Harris, because there's two options here. One is that he's doing his normal thing of making fun as opposed to answering the question. The other is maybe he's been under the assumption that he is holding campaign events, and if he is, that's its own kind of kettle of fish. That's actually far more disturbing if he thinks he has been out on the campaign trail.
You can't imagine thousands of people gather before you at a campaign event. It either happens or it doesn't. So I'm hoping that's not the option here.
I hope so too. I hope so too, Harry.
Ben Domenech, I don't know if you caught it earlier, but Robert Kennedy Jr. wants the chance to debate. He said that the American people are owed that, and particularly where this president is with questions about acuity, so on and so forth. So we'll have Kennedy on tomorrow, and we'll see, you know, what happens down the road. We'd love to cover that debate if it ever should happen. Ben, thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me.
Like I said before, people. Here go my boy, which I don't really like this fucking political bullshit, but this my boy Donald Trump. It is what it is. Motherfuckers hating on Donald Trump because they know what he is. Donald Trump is a fucking businessman, and he got in here and was running the United States of America's corporation for what it really is, a business. You cannot allow legal lying lawyers to run your business. Lawyers lie for a living. They're going to always leave loopholes to jump through when you catch them stealing your money. Hold on. Hello.
Hi, may I speak to John Austin?
This is him.
Great, hi. John, well, this is Eric on the line. Well, I've called because you may qualify for great health insurance.
Now, answer this here. Answer this here. How many companies do they have that sells insurance? Because this happens to me every day. And she hung up on me. And that's a type of harassment. They're constantly calling you up about some insurance that you can't get. Because they're trying to give all these illegal aliens and all these people that can work free fucking money so they don't work. They're trying to break the fucking economy so they can make the dollar not worth shit. But we stupid for letting them do the shit. But back to what I was saying about Donald Trump. They don't like Donald Trump because he's a businessman and he ran this motherfucker for what it really is. And these legal lying lawyers, the Democrat rats and the Republican fucking clowns, they consist of just that, a bunch of legal lying lawyers. They lie too fucking much. That's the reason why we're in the shit that we're in right now. Because both fucking parties been robbing the taxpayers of the United States of America Corporation for fucking decades. This shit ain't just started. When you look at, we owe China $32 trillion fucking dollars. Where did the fucking money go? So my other question is, why is my grandchildren gonna be born into debt? But the elite assholes who run the Democrat rats and the Republican fucking clowns in this legal system that ain't worth shit, their fucking family members, grandchildren, are being born into wealth. How the fuck does that work? They're stealing our tax money and getting rich off of it. And we are nothing but fucking sheep because we ain't doing nothing. This is as stupid could get. These assholes done laid up there and programmed us with just 5 fucked up words. Got so many guinea pigs, so many motherfucking sheep, so many motherfuckers stuck on fucking stupid, never knowing what the truth is. Make believe, understand, faith, and hope. That's the 5-word fucking program to keep you fucking stuck on stupid in a fucking loop that don't make no motherfucking sense. The truth makes sense for true change. Because once you go back to using common sense, shit will change. Because right now, common sense is just not common. So back to Donald Trump, the businessman. It is what it is. We need that nigga back.
Now the Durham report has come out and shows all of the abuses that the FBI and the Justice Department have. When you become president on day one, what are you going to do to restore the respect for the FBI and our law enforcement back into this country that it once had?
It's so fair a question, and you know, the FBI has, and you have a lot of great people in the FBI, but the FBI has taken hits like in history like they haven't taken. And look, I'm a victim of it. They've come after me. They've come after me on many things, all debunked. The Mueller report, the fake dossier. How about the dossier, which was written up by the Democrats, all fake stuff and disgusting.
$40 million we paid for that dossier.
We did more than just about any president.
$40 million we paid for that dossier that Hillary Clinton lawyers made up.
Russian agent.
$40 fucking million. Hillary Clinton should be in fucking jail, her and her fucking lawyer. But they gonna give Hillary Clinton a fine?
I haven't spoken to anybody in Russia. You know, they went through 5 million phone calls, and I didn't make one call to Russia. That was a little bit bad, but they didn't announce that. They didn't talk about that. No, we have a very, very corrupt system, and it's got to be, and we need from the top, we need great people. We need heads of the FBI. We need heads of
we need to bring Snowden back. Bring Snowden back and have Snowden hire some people.
Years of entrenchment. Years and years of radicalism. It's really radicalism, and it's putting our country at great danger. I mean, I'm fighting them all the time, and I think one of the reasons I'm doing so, because I've really fought them successfully, and we were making tremendous progress. But this is numerous presidents, long-term. People are embedded in those positions, and they hate us. They hate our values. They hate what we stand for, and it's a very important question. We were doing big things, but we're going to do very big things. Yeah, very important. Because they're really taking away your liberty. And they're taking away your elections, actually. They didn't want to look at the elections. They helped with the elections. I mean, think of it. The FBI colluded with Facebook.
Sure did.
And with Twitter. Think of it. The FBI colluded with Facebook and Twitter. Well, that's like stuffing the ballot box.
Sure did.
And speaking of stuffing the ballot box,
they did that too.
True to the Vote.
They did that too.
Which is a fantastic organization
of
predominantly women that are incredible patriots that went around. They have hundreds of thousands of votes on camera. And the judges are afraid to do something. I don't know what it is with the judges, but they're afraid. You have hundreds of thousands, millions actually, but hundreds of thousands of votes on camera where they're looking at the camera, and they're government cameras, where the camera's pointed at a lockbox. Some of those cameras have been, gone, but didn't matter that much because they have so many, they have millions of votes literally, and nobody wants to look where they're stuffing the ballot boxes, where a person comes in, looks around, goes in, puts it, and then I think one person stopped at 28 different sites, 7 or 8 votes each, but they had hundreds of them and thousands of them. If we don't have free, clear, fair elections, and if we don't have strong borders, we don't have a country. I mean, think of those two things. We need elections. They have to be free, and they have to be, there was a poll, 78% of the people feel the election was rigged. You can't have a country that's going to be rigging an election, and you can't have people even thinking that. And the other thing is you need borders. You need borders. We don't have any borders. We had a really strong border 3 years ago. And you know, that border also stopped drugs from coming in. It's 12 times, think of it, 12 times more drugs coming in than 3 years ago, okay? 12 times. Who ever heard of a number like that? And we're losing hundreds of thousands of people, destroying families. The drugs are just pouring in. Fentanyl is pouring in. I had a deal with President Xi. He was going to make it illegal to produce fentanyl in China, and that would mean the death penalty. You know, in China, they have the death penalty. I said to President Xi, do you have any drug problem? He looked at me like, what kind of a question? Of course we don't. They have the death penalty. They call it a quick trial. If somebody's selling drugs, they have a quick trial, and they execute the people. And it's a terrible thing when you think about it, but when you really think about it, the average...
Stop motherfuckers from doing bullshit.
The average drug dealer in this country kills 500 people over a lifetime. 500 people. So when you look at that, and China has no problem, the countries with the death penalty, they're the only ones that don't have a problem with drugs. The only ones that don't, Singapore has a very strong death penalty. If you sell drugs, if you're a dealer, if you sell drugs, you get the death penalty. And people say, you know, let's go someplace else. Let's go to the U.S. and do it, where they don't even do anything to you.
No.
They don't even do anything. And until you get smart, you're going to have a tremendous problem. But I had it so that President Xi was going to give the death penalty to people that made fentanyl and sold it into the U.S. But once I wasn't there, that deal died very quickly. He had no choice but to do it too. We were very, very strong. We have a lot of power over China. People don't realize it, but we have tremendous power over China, but they don't use the power. They don't know how to, I don't even think they think we have the power. We have tremendous power over China. Yes, sir, in the back, with that beautiful cowboy hat. I want to get one of them.
Trump from Iowa, talking about the border most recently, but also getting into election integrity. And as he said, this stuff has not moved anywhere in the courts yet, so no evidence to really back that up. But he did he equate what we've seen recently with the FBI, their collusion with the press, the shutting down of these stories as stuffing the ballot box. That's what he was equating this to. He talked about the FBI. They hate us. They hate our values. And he said heads would roll on day one if he is to be elected. And also, again, you heard him talking a lot about...
Heads need to roll from the fucking FBI. Tell the truth, the FBI need to roll the fuck out of here. We don't need them. We don't need them. We don't need them.
You don't have a country anymore.
Right, and this is, again, a big day for Trump and a meeting and talking to Iowa voters, taking questions there, as you just saw. What you're looking at the bottom of your screen is Ron DeSantis, who is now speaking in Rochester, New Hampshire. He spent the day yesterday in Iowa as well. So it is on for sure. Let's bring in now former Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi to discuss some of Trump's statements this morning. Welcome in, Pam. Always great to have you. So before the race gets even more busier with Pence and Christie next week, I mean, these are the two front guys here on the GOP. What do you make of some of Trump's comments, talking about what he's done for farmers in Iowa today? Obviously, he's ahead in the polls there.
Yeah, he's way ahead in the polls. And, you know, Bianca, first, contrast President Trump's speech with the Joe Biden speech. Can you imagine President Trump is there saying, question, question, question. I'll take any question you have. And what does Joe Biden do? Have scripted questions from reporters and the answers printed on cue cards. So, yeah, I think Americans are seeing the world of difference in these two men. And, you know, Donald Trump talked about everything, as you said, he could do for farmers, for our economy, everything that's happened. The drug epidemic in our country, building the wall, protecting our country.
Donald Trump was the first president that said he was going to do something and did what the fuck he said he was going to do. Fuck all the bullshit.
No other human being has done that or can say he's done it before and can do it again to save our country. So yeah, I mean, they were so receptive to him. And, you know, I was on the phone with him, Bianca, when he had to cancel his last rally in Iowa due to the tornado. And he was so upset. Yeah, he was so upset about that. He was about ready to get on the plane and go there, and he had to cancel it. So, yeah, I think Iowans see what a great job he's doing. I think my buddy, former Attorney General Matt Whitaker of the United States, is around Iowa with him today as well.
Yeah, I think we saw there Attorney General Whitaker there in the crowd earlier. We wanted to ask you about the back and forth and what we've seen too. You talked about Donald Trump versus Joe Biden, but what about Donald Trump versus Ron DeSantis? Here he was earlier today in New Hampshire talking about the race. at the end of the day, as a leader, you got to be willing to look in that mirror and be honest with yourself. Are you doing the right things for the right reasons, or are you not? And if you're curtailing what you think is right because you're worried about short-term political ramifications, that is not leadership.
Nope.
So we see these attacks kind of sharpening now, and we also see a definitive lead for Donald Trump in the polls. Anything from what you've seen so far going to change that?
Well, no, and I think more and more people are going to get in the race. And, as President Trump says, a lot of more good people. You bet, Tim Scott. We can, I think Chris Christie's going to enter the race today. I think Mike Pence may enter the race tomorrow. We've got Nikki Haley in the race. We're going to have a huge, huge field of candidates. But again, our country is in such a mess right now, John. And Donald Trump is the one. But his resume is what he did for 4 years while in office. Think about the state our country's in. I think he's this is so unprecedented in our world that he can say, hey, I did this. I made America great again. Then look what happened when I was not in office for 4 years. And look what I can do on day one, really, starting again when he's back in the White House.
There is a record for Donald Trump to talk about as president, a different message from Ron DeSantis talking about what he would do as president in a hypothetical situation. Pam Bondi, great to see you in real time. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Pam.
You too.
All right, meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer is keeping pressure on FBI Director Christopher Wray. Comer wants Wray to hand over that whistleblower document, which allegedly shows President Biden engaged in a criminal bribery scheme while he was vice president. Comer says Wray finally admitted that this actual document exists. That happens in a phone call, or happened yesterday in a phone call. A source telling Newsmax that the call did not go well, and ultimately forced Comer and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy to call a vote of contempt of Congress for Director Wray.
And John, multiple Justice Department whistleblowers claimed derogatory evidence in the Hunter Biden investigation was wrongly labeled as disinformation when it actually could have been verified. Their disclosures were made to Republican Senator Chuck Grassley, who has been investigating, as you may know, the Biden family's foreign business dealings. Let's get out for more details on this story to our congressional correspondent, Kimberly Dukart. She's live on Capitol Hill with more details. Kimberly, what are you hearing?
Bianca, John, not only was this labeled incorrectly, but it was placed in a restricted system where FBI investigators could not review these documents. Republican Senator
How fucking corrupted is
who's
that?
been investigating the Biden family since 2019, says he continues to receive new information related to his investigation. Grassley, of course, who's the ranking Republican on the Senate Judiciary Committee, has previously spoken about a political bias that has infected the FBI. These latest allegations by Justice Department whistleblowers point to irregular handling of evidence and standard protocols that were not followed, preventing a thorough investigation. Separately, and as you mentioned, Grassley, along with House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer, they've been looking into whether the FBI investigated an alleged bribery scheme involving then Vice President Joe Biden. In a phone call with the FBI's director on Wednesday, Comer said that the FBI is still failing to comply with that congressional subpoena to produce that document. Instead, Comer says Christopher Wray offered to have him view it at FBI headquarters. Now, in response to that, Senator Grassley says, quote, Director Wray confirmed that my whistleblowers have told me pursuant to legally protected disclosures that the FBI-generated document is real, but the Bureau has yet to provide it to Congress in defiance of a legitimate congressional subpoena. John, Bianca, I'm going to be speaking to Republican Senator Chuck Grassley in just a few hours from now to find out why the FBI won't physically give them this document, despite their right to have oversight on this, particularly given that they've offered assurances that they would not disclose the confidential human source in all of this. We're going to be working to get to the bottom of that. In the meantime, of course, we're also going to be following whether, again, the House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer, again, those contempt of Congress proceedings that he has threatened to not only the FBI director, but the agency too.
Look forward to seeing that interview with Grassley. Kimberly Dukart live on all the moving parts that are happening. Thanks, Kimberly. Good to see you.
Well, could Hunter Biden be the next poster child for Second Amendment rights? That's a headline, at least from Politico. They're reporting that discussions between Hunter's attorneys and the Justice Department may be leaning towards the Second Amendment if there are charges pressed. According to this Politico report, lawyers told the DOJ if Hunter is charged with an illegal gun purchase while he was high on drugs, they will challenge that. Using the Second Amendment, the Justice Department is investigating Hunter's gun purchase. And
I hope we can move the bill quickly here in the Senate and bring it to the president's desk as soon as possible.
Well, 71 Republicans did oppose the measure. They say they wanted deeper spending cuts. And before the vote, Congressman Lauren Boebert expressed her concerns to Newsmax.
This is a gift to the Democrats. This is a gift to the Biden administration. It's going to put our presidential nominee in a very bad place come election season. And it's just a huge fail on our part.
Bullshit.
All of Biden's radical
Both
policies
parties are the same parties having a party
During
on
an interview with
tax
Axios last night, Senator Tim Scott expressed a similar sentiment.
The question I ask myself is, at the end of the negotiation, is it in our best interest as a nation to allow Joe Biden, someone we cannot trust on spending, to have an open checkbook, no vote on the credit card until the end of his term?
You got to be fucking retarded. You got to be fucking retarded. That's just like letting your motherfucking child have a motherfucking visa, American Express. Oh, snaps. Now I'm back in the session by myself. Y'all always do that when y'all know I'm telling the truth, bitches. That's all good. I'm cool with you, good bitches.
Achieved, but you're always learning about this money going to China, money going to Russia.
Too.
Yeah, the IRS.
Like I said again, we're being played by the elite assholes. We like children to them. You already see fake ass Dr. Fauci. That bitch being released the fucking coronavirus on us and shit. And that's the shit that pisses me off the most. Because that fucker there gonna retire and get a pension. Fuck. And shit, that's how it goes. That's how corrupted this fucking system is of bullshit. When you look at the motherfuckers that's running this shit, are a bunch of fucking criminals. How can you get any type of justice when the criminals are the ones running the justice system? That's all I can say. And I'm through. Peace out, little people.